Hey, what's going on, everyone? This your boy Freeze here with the weekly live stream. And you guys, you know what? You know what day it is? It is the release of HQ18. And I know most of you excited about it. I forgot something though. You guys know what I forgot? Forgot my hat. So we got some new content, some new stuff to think about. So I'm gonna make sure I got on my thinking cap. Can you guys hear me okay? But yeah, man, I tell you what, I wasn't excited at first. I just saw a bunch of more work that I had to do. But when it came to HQ18, but I tell you what, man, as it actually got released, I was pretty excited. So yeah. But yeah, man, but everybody, welcome to the Deceptor Lab. We're gonna talk about some HQ18 stuff today. Before we do, let's go and jump into the newsletter. And so this week we got the event is gonna be called Match Point, and it is season 9. Is week 2 of the saga, and yeah, pretty nice event. Gonna be 1 million point event this weekend. Nice prizes, honestly, man. So 7,500 3-star shards, 2,500 4-star shards, 1,000 5-star shards, which we all know that's the important part, right? And 50k premium shards, a guaranteed non-dupe 4-star bot. I'll show you guys what I'm working with here in a little bit. I got pretty good odds of getting a combiner piece this weekend just based on that, but we'll see how that goes. And 200k combat spark, 200k combiner spark, which I'm really excited about. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then you place at the end, you get a Mecha Soccer final with a special theme avatar. So for all you guys to finish the event in your alliances. Nice prizes this weekend. I'm very, very pleased with this as a total, just really, really pleased with that event. So you can see the prize chart there. And here's the thing for me, man. So a lot of times because it started off as it was combiner spark and regular spark, had a change to it. I believe it was yesterday. And my argument is always, and a lot of you guys see me in TFEW Discord or whichever version, whether it be the Alliance Council, whether it be VIP for Cybertron, whether it be just regular TFEW Discord. I hate with a passion to see folks try to get rid of the combiner spark. And don't get me wrong, a lot of the top players, they got loads of it. I saw one guy had 15 million of combiner spark, right? But here's the thing. One of the things we're going to talk about with HQ18 is that we now are going to have level 25 combiners, right? So I went through, just going through playtest today, just leveling out some of the combiners. And, I was doing it at 5 million a shot, and it took about half of it just for that. Now, I tell you this, I want to make sure that I max out Galvatronus. I want to make sure that I max out Tripredacus. And so for me, I said, well, mathematically, that's going to be pushing it kind of close. There's some buffs that happen to some of the other combiners. So I want to make sure that I have enough. And so they took out the regular spark, which I feel like you get more of in abundance. You get that with, excuse me, you get that through war, you get that through crystals, you get that through a lot of different stuff. More so, than you get the other two, I feel like. So that's one of the things that I was looking at. I was very, very pleased. I actually went into one of the Discord chats and told Space Ape I was so thankful that even though we all need the economy says we need combat spark, I'm so happy that they did that without sacrificing just combiner spark. So when you look at that chart, it's pretty nice. Typical battle zones. And so most of what we're going to talk about, we're going to run through this real quick because we're going to talk about a lot of it today anyway. But HQ18 is out. And so there's a list of the buildings that are going with that. Now, hopefully most of you guys listen to the Space Ape chats. Hopefully the Space Ape streams, excuse me. Hopefully most of you guys listened to my streams previously and you saw that what buildings are going to be involved. But we'll talk about that in more detail. And then HQ18, the Titans. So you're going to have different effects for different Titans. I think this is really, really cool. So you can, for Metroplex and Tripticon, you're going to have increased beam damage. So that's beam lasers, laser guns, and point defense beam. They'll deal more damage. And then for Fort Max and Scorponok, you're going to have increased electrical damage. So that'll really help you, I feel like, more on the defensive side. So it's shock towers, EMP defense bolt, and then your outpost bots and combiners deal more electrical damage, which honestly, it makes sense now why this was the event originally that Space Ape was supposed to be using as the 4-star Scorponok and Fort Max event. But man, it's close to Christmas. Everybody it was a lot of uproar from the community, and who wound up having this 1 mil event with the non-dupe to kind of make up for some of the things that happened over the past few weeks. So I really like it, and we'll see how it goes. Character max levels, you can now max out your bots to 67. And honestly, man, like it was 65. So anytime you get up to past level 60, you go up to 61. That's the last research slot. Research you're gonna have to do. They'll just automatically add additional XP any of the XP that you would have earned while you were fighting in level 65, they just added it to it. And so a lot of people were confused earlier because they would see that you had more XP gained than what the max was. All you have to do is just go in there and run a battle with your that particular bot, and it'll synchronize. So works out really well that way. And then we got the character rank system, which we've talked about a little bit. So different shards for each class, and you're also going to have your character shards working for each bot. And we'll talk about that a little bit as well, because the corporal level, it's been determined that it's going to be 15k a class shards and 5,000 a character shards to go to the corporal level. That'll give you 5%. And then sergeant level, you have to have 45k and then 15 a class shards, and then 15k a character shards. That'll take you up another 5% to 10% additional damage and health points. And then you get a few different defensive prime cores. So you got Alchemist, Amalgamist, Liege, Maximo, Megatronus, and Micronus. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on in the stream. And so you got a couple of defensive power cores as well. For your HQ, you have the EMP defense bolt. So that's going to deal electrical damage to a single target, and it's going to disable that target for 3 seconds at a shot. At a little bit of a distance, it's not going to be able to hit anything that's close range. So if you're talking about you got like a smash damage bot, it's not going to hit it, but it'll hit those guys up there that are at range, particularly when they got some of the combat bots equipped. And then you got your ray blockers core. So for a long time now, we've been saying that there's a lot of healing in the game. There's a lot of healing in there between the different combat bots to provide healing and power cores, healers themselves. All of them are going to add additional healing. And so the ray blockers is going to be targeting. Basically, a lot of the healing is coming from your actual healers. It doesn't block power cores for self regeneration effects, but it will help tremendously. So and the range on it is absolutely insane. So I like that as well. All right, balance changes. So acid and fire is now going to be separated. And one of the things that I was saying before was that the acid type damage, um, when it was considered to be fire, I kind of felt that that was like a little bit. I didn't really like it. I didn't really like both of them being classified together, so they separated that. But now acid for all targets on the acid are not going to receive any healing. I think that's huge because, like I just got finished saying, healing is going to be really, really, really large in the current meta or the new meta. And then targets under acid effects will receive 20% more fire damage. So that's going to make for some really, really nice combos. So we'll talk about some of the combos that I plan to use later on. And they give you a list of different bots that can be affected under this acid damage type. And then for the smash damage type, there's going to be, and it says smash damage is dealt by warrior class types, but it's actually going to be a few more special class that are just basically your melee type attackers. The headquarters will no longer have a resistance against smash damage, and walls will receive a 4 times more damage multiplier from smash attacks. So it was previously 2 times, and yeah, so I think all of those things are actually good for the game. Let's see some character rebalances. Cliff jumper and kickback. So the glass gas rocket that's been decreased. It was 4+3. It's now 4+1, which I really agree with. That and the fact that they increased cliff jumper and kickback's health just for like it came up and play tested. Kickback's health is absolutely anemic is the best word to use it compared to the rest of the class. It's much lower, so that got fixed. And then, to be honest, HQ18 is promoting a lot of combos. So yeah, they reduced the cost on that too. Try to get you some combos. Trailbreaker and exhaust. The ability to reflect the force field has been decreased. I'm not so sold on that one. If you guys have been watching me for a while, I like exhaust a lot. I think that might be too cheap, but I do understand that that's going to be one of those effects that's going to be lasting for quite a bit of time. So I don't know. I didn't see really the purpose of it. I mean, 4+4 I think is a little too steep, but 3+1 I think is a little bit too low. I think there's a sweet spot in there that we didn't meet, but I didn't say too much about it while it was in test. Cosmos and Mind Wipe, it's going from 7+2 to 5+2. I think that's good, just because, I mean, honestly, outside of some of the mid-tier players and lower-tier players that use Mind Wipe in the Outpost, I'm not using this on offense, so I mean they can reduce it. I think it still needs a little work. Broadside and 8 phase doubled the DPS and HPS of the drones. I think that's a good one. And I know some people that really, really love broadside and 8 phase. I just don't personally see it. But I just don't think the damage and the healing is that great. But would it double? Yeah, I say that's a little bit better. This one I really like. Grapple and Dirtbag. Alloy Mines will block healing. And it was actually one of my good friends from one of my former alliances that's a huge Dirtbag fan. And I just know that he's waiting to go put Dirtbag in one of these outposts. So I'm looking forward to that, seeing what kind of tricks he can come up with that. Hound Vamp and Soundwave Hiss. Reduction from 5+3 to 5+1. So not that bad. Not convinced it's going to make me use them, but I do think that's appropriate. Streetwise and Center Twin time split grenade has been decreased from 3+4 to 3+3, and the effect radius has been increased by 25%. So about from 8 squares to about 8 squares to about 10 squares. So yeah, that could work out pretty well. And then Snapdragon, increased health, decreased normal damage, increased ability damage. So I still need to test that, but I think that could be pretty good. And then Double Dealer is gonna have used to have the incendiary missile, fire missiles to damage the enemies in a small area, and additionally set the large area on fire, dealing fire damage over 25 seconds. So the cost change, it was 4 plus 3. It's now changed to 3 plus 2, and you're gonna have a 20% damage dealt to targets underneath the acid, and it's also gonna be for 25 seconds still. Toxic mission is going to, so it went from normal attack range by 50%, or reduce enemies normal attack range by 50%, and it was like a 15-second effect. And now it's going to be you're going to send your 8 acid balls dealing acid damage over 20 seconds, and you can get up to 4 stacks, preventing enemies from healing, as we already said, with the acid effects preventing healing. Alright, combine and rebalance. So 3-star combiners can now be upgraded to level 20, and 4 stars can be going up to level 25, like I was already talking about. And some specific changes. Victorion and Minosaur now have an increased rush damage and range, improved consistency of the wide-based EMP. Volcanicus and Predaking, the 4-star ability for the meteor shower, is now going to have direct damage instead of damage over time. And the jump sword is going to deal damage to more targets. And then Optimus, Maximus, and Bruticus, they increased the 2-star ability damage. The 3-star ability now offers 80% more protection, as 80% protection as opposed to 30% protection. And then increased the 4-star ability damage for the rockets that he has for Bruticus and Optimus Maximus. And so there's going to be icons out there now telling you for just different elemental damage. In this particular case, the known issue is that the acid damage icon is missing. I already checked it earlier. That's been fixed. And then you got Texas Hammer got a bunch of resources up here for telling you how much your HQ18 Phase 1 resources cost. And I was actually talking to a lot of players about this earlier, because some players were a little upset about how much Z Energon everything is going to take. To be honest with you, 5.01 million of Z Energon, I feel like it's pretty good. Like, I try to keep my Z Energon pretty high. I went through a couple of projects, so I wasn't quite at 3 million, which is the max. I had 2.36 mil, I think, when I started, and when the HQ18 dropped, and I'm still sitting pretty good, and I'm gonna fill it back up more as the week goes on. So I mean, as the next couple of weeks goes on. So yeah, just talking about bot XP and how it was stored up. I already kind of briefly mentioned that. The prime cores, if you look at the newsletter, you can actually see some of the ranges on some of the prime cores, which we'll talk about a little bit more. Core fusion cost, we'll talk about and it talks about the lightning defense bolt and the ray blockers core. Alright, so the war effects are going to change a little bit. So some of you guys might already be engaged in war. Your next war, what you should see is Prime League plus 20 DPS and HPS, and then Prime League hard mode will be, it'll still have another 20 DPS and HPS, and then the outpost of 20 HP and DPS. Just kind of easing up a little bit, because I know a lot of people are just nervous about HQ18, and I think this move from the Space Ape team is just saying, look, we don't want people to run away from the game because they think that it's too hard right away, and that's kind of why I feel like they did this in different layers and different levels as they introduce HQ18. So for the Christmas time, they're going to have several Discord giveaways, some for VIP, some for everyone, and all, everyone's will end on the 3rd of January. Cross faction, we've been talking about that for a little bit. That's live. And then we got your official content creators. like as always, guys, always support these guys. Like I said, I was looking around in the chat a little bit earlier. I saw Sunstreaker was up here. Kind of following him up. I was like, he just had his live stream, which was really, really good live stream. If you guys didn't see it, go back and check it out. But you also got Arrow DJ Hart, Engineer Horse, Grind Time, and Soldier as always. So be sure to go check their channels out as well. As always, got some nice artwork up there. Look, you got Sky War. Let's see, yeah, you got some cool stuff up there as always. And then, like I said, we're in week 2 of the schedule. Kind of looking forward to this one. To me, I like that it's going to be a couple of weeks. Like, I'm looking forward to the holidays, and so it's going to be a couple of easy 10K events for it. And then you get a 5-star combat short event coming up after it. And then, you know, and as New Year goes along, you're gonna have a couple of different events, bot XP and power cores for week 6. Some 5-star shards again, 750K event, and then you're gonna have some. You're gonna have your endurance event. So yeah, man, looks like it's gonna be a really good time. And then some bug fixes and improvements. Brainstorm and Guy-Hawk are now going to work on build bots and MDS. Sidetrack and Growl, they had an issue that was causing them to respawn in their vehicle form and deal like a outrageous damage, 100k damage. Skids and Knockout, they fixed the tool tip. I actually checked that one out earlier because it wasn't showing the proper values. And the ability 11 is going to be 3 times. I know there was a lot of controversy saying it was going to be 6 times damage. It's 3 times damage, and SpaceX cleared that up pretty quickly. And then speed improvements. Some of you guys probably already noticed that they had a bunch of different improvements just through the UI for the game itself, making it work much faster instead of having you spend a bunch of time in a bunch of different loading screens. So then that's all we got for the news. All right, so let's take a look and see what we got going on in the chat. And let's see. So that professional husky was first, and so that's actually a funny story because so professional husky is one of my mods. He's also a content creator. He does some really, really cool stuff out there on YouTube. But professional husky messaged me in Discord and said, on my Discord server, and it was like, and sent the screenshot, and I was like, and I had just set up for this live stream, and I was like, well, what's going on? And Husky's like, this, and I was like, and he referred back to the screenshot, and I was like, okay, like, what are you talking about? You know, I get nervous when I'm about to do a live stream. I'm thinking I got something wrong, I got the time wrong, or I misspelled something on the thumbnail, and he was like, no, this, and he's like, oh no, I was just showing you that I was first. And I was like, oh, why didn't you just say that? You had me like scared out of my mind. So I really appreciate all the work that Husky does for me. And Husky was first in the chat, so welcome. Terra Titano is second in the chat. Laura Davix is third in the chat. So some of my regulars in there as always. S. Clohasi is in there. So thanks for joining. Matt Pola is in there as well. So, you know, welcome to you as well. Like I already mentioned, Sunstreaker Waza's in there. And he says that wow, cross faction and Freeze has turned into a bot. And that's like, not quite. I said, I had to go make sure I had my con hat on just in case there was any confusion. But yeah, you know, the most I'll do is I said and he was talking about on his stream a little bit earlier. We do have he's got a series out, Unpopular Opinions. If you guys have been checking it out, it's me, him, and Texas Hammer, and they're just talking about different unpopular opinions we have. Still got a couple more that he's got to release, but right now I think it's 3 of them out on his channel. And the links for all that stuff is on my page, so you can go check it out. It's in my about section. Terra of Titano, did I say you already? If not, yeah, you were second. But check out his content too. He got a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of really good editing. So check out his stuff. He got a lot of TFEW content. Foxter Bomb is in here again, so welcome. Let's see. Alpha Tryon 1 is back with us again, so thanks for joining. Chris Truden is in again. And he said, sorry I'm late to the party. You didn't really miss anything, man. I think most of us that are really engaged in the game read the newsletter already, so that's all you really missed. And then Kosh is in the chat as well. And let me make sure that I didn't miss anyone. And it looks like I got everyone so far. So as people come in, I'll do what I always do. I'll just, I'll kind of introduce them and just say hello. So HQ18, right? So I'm going to go to the game screen and I am going to go to my live server for once because my live server is showing all of what I've done so far with HQ18. And a couple of things happened already. And so I was going to actually open up some of my crystals and stuff in here, and then people started really asking me some oddball questions, man. Like I had some folks who tried to put they would ask me how to equip the prime cores, and I was like, well, you equip them like any other prime core, any other core. And they were trying to equip them to weird stuff, man. They were trying to equip the prime core to the outpost and to the sharp mines. And I think what the problem was is they already had their core set up really well, and they were trying to see if there was any kind of way they could not mess up their cores. And that just became like just a really, really strange conversation. I was like, dude, like all the things that you could always equip cores on, then you could it's still the same. And so I was really thrown back by that for a while, but yeah, so we were talking about that. And let's see what else. Let's see. Professional Husky wants to know if we can talk about cross faction. Yeah, man, we can talk about cross faction. Absolutely. Is there any specific questions that you have about cross faction? Go ahead and put it in the chat. But so let's check out what I got so far. And so far, let's go look at the prime cores first. So let's see. Go into power cores. So I could only pull 2 this time. And I'm really close to a third, but I only pulled 2. And this is what I pulled. So I pulled Megatronus, just giving you, nearby foes get a percentage of your DPS every second. I'm probably going to use it. I'm going to level it up. I'm not overly excited about that, but I am excited about the Micronus core. Restores, right now it's 5.5% health to all nearby allies. But yeah, it's going to wind up being pretty good, man. I want to say that one goes up to, it's either 15 or 15.5. I'll look at it here in a little bit. But yeah, I'm really excited for that one. I hadn't done anything with it yet. It's been a really, really busy day and lots of questions. And so that's what I ended up getting so far. I didn't really have a lot of cores left. I've been working on trying to upgrade a lot of stuff on my base. And that's the one drawback, right? Like I think when you're like one of the top players and stuff like that, you usually get to a point where you get bored. You not really chasing anything. And so, a lot of people have large piles of crystals. I still got a lot of stuff I need to do. I still got stuff I want to work on my base. I still got bots that I need to go try to get their core straight. And so I didn't have as much going into this, but I did pop a lot of crystals when the character shards got revealed. So what did you guys get? Let me know in the chat what kind of prime cores you got, if you got any at all. Chris Truden says Megatronus is the only one that he didn't get. Good. I think, and he's saying that Liege on one, MDS and Micronus on the other. That's a good call, man. And this you one of my former teammates. I know that you know the game really well. I think that's a really good call. At least until more prime cores come out. So yeah, congratulations to you. And Professional Husky says that they are developing a cross faction alliance. So yeah, man, like if you're trying to recruit or anything like that, let people know the name of your alliance in the chat. Um, and like I said, yeah, I think you already talked about it a little bit on my Discord server and everything like that. And yeah, that'll definitely work out. I think that's a good way for a lot of people to go, especially if you need numbers. It's good to be able to pick from each faction. So, all right. So, looking at the base, so you can see that right now I've got two alloy storages going, and I've got an energon storage, or two energon storages going. And right now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna wait, and I'm gonna wait for a little bit, and I'm actually gonna wait the 2.5 weeks, because here's what I think, and I might be wrong, but one of the things that I'm concerned with is this, and I'm gonna pull up some notes that I took, because there's only a handful of things that I want to go use my skips. So I'm gonna go down to my skips real quick. When I go look at my skips in my inventory, you'll see that and I ain't got a lot in there. I got some battle boosts and stuff like that. We got 7 upgrade skips left. I used 1 skip for the HQ itself, right? Now I know a lot of people out there they were using their skips on the resources, and they say, oh, it's new, it's shiny, I got to do this stuff fast. But here's what I'm thinking about. So we already know that HQ18 is going to be released in phases. It's supposed to be 3 phases, right? And we know that, let's go back to the newsletter for a second, and let's go look at what buildings we got in this first set. Because what I really want to concern myself with, I was like, so HQ, we got a new building level for it. Energon harvesters, alloy harvesters, energon storage, alloy storage, walls, auto cannons, outpost, mortar, stasis mine, scanner, and missile launcher, right? So not quite everything, but what I'm looking at is this. Oh, I'm trying to go to the game screen. I went back to the lab. So what I'm looking at is this. If there's going to be 3 phases, at some point, shield generator is going to come up. I don't really want to lose my shield generator. So that's one thing that I said, you know what? I'll just wait. So then I started looking around. I started looking at the combiner beacon. And I said, I don't really want to have my base without a combiner for 2.5 weeks. So I say I'm actually saving some of my shards. Some of my skips for that. Or 13 harvester and storage. So that's 2 of them. And when I look at it, I think to myself, a lot of people, now I do know some people that say, hey, I'm going to use my Shannonics to go and get ore, which is totally an option. And let's go in the Shannonics store real quick, and what you'll see is you can get ore 13, 500 Shannonics, which you can get quite a bit for how much we get weekly with the raids, right? So here's the problem. I have been using it for this. I've been using it for the combiner spark. So the combat spark, not the combiner spark. But and I want to continue to do that. And so what I don't want to do is just keep having to scrape and scratch and claw for ore 13. And then, because when I'm upgrading, it's not going to allow me to go in there and take the ore 13 out. So I'm going to use some for ore 13 harvester and storage. I'm probably going to skip through my MDS 1 and 2, and that will leave me with 1. That's 7 total including the HQ that I already used. And so I might, and that leaves me with one open. Now, a couple of things could happen if Space 8 decides to give us more skips in future cyber passes. And it got kind of heated when I was talking to some players earlier, because they was like, well, where are you getting this information from that there's going to be more more skips, defense skips? And I said, no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying there is going to be more skips. I'm saying that we were sitting at 7 for quite a bit of time, and then they made an 8th, and then they skipped over this one. And I said, well, maybe there's going to be a skip in the next one or the one after that. And so one of the things I was looking at is, hey, man, I might want to go do my outpost and just skip through it or whatever. I don't want to start losing resources during regular battles. Now, during wars, they'll just revert back to whatever your last one was. So they will revert back to the level 16 outpost. Okay, I'm cool with that. But I don't want to just skip over them, or I might, depending on what they do. What if one thing I was talking about in my chats was like, for the combiner beacon, we never got 5-star combiners. What if the combiner beacon upgrade is for the 5 stars? I kind of doubt it, but it's just one of them things that kind of crossed my mind and a couple of other players' minds. So I'm just being really, really careful. I know a lot of people just want to rush through so they can start building, but I was like, ultimately, I think all of it just kind of catches up. I think if you skip through the resources right now, and then you go and do the upgrades, and so you'll have a couple of defenses maybe running before everybody else's. I mean, that's cool, but your defense is going to be down for a little bit unless you go coin through them. So that's what I've been looking at. So you guys let me know what's your plan that you're gonna use for your skips, your defensive building skips. Let me know in the chat. That's what I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use HQ, Shield Gen, Combiner Beacon, or 13 Harvester, or 13 Storage, MDS1, MDS2, and one other. Now I will say this: if we get more skips, I'll start to do other stuff. I was actually thinking about these stasis mines. Maybe I'll use it on those. Who knows? But yeah, guys, like I'm pretty excited. I wasn't excited at first about HQ18, but after it actually came in, and that's common for me, I became pretty excited about it. And let's talk about, we were talking earlier about how different Titans are going to have different effects. And it actually took me a while to understand this when we were looking at it and testing. And so I'm going to jump out of the screen because my head is in the way of what I'm trying to show you guys. But take a look at this. So an active Titan base effect you're going to have for Terracon is going to be that you're going to have increased beam damage. And so that's going to increase your damage from your beam lasers, laser guns, point defense beam, and more damage for your outpost bots and combiners, and 30% more ability beam damage. So all of that's going to increase by 30%, which is huge. I actually had some folks ask me, because when you were looking at the newsletter, it didn't say 30%, but it is 30%, and it looks, dude, it makes a difference. Just telling you what I was looking at in play testing, it made quite a difference. I like it. I think it's good for the game, and I think what it does, I think it kind of naturally balances out some of the war effects, and I think you can start to get more creative with the war effects, because a lot of the things that they add early in the war effects, it's already going to be in there. It's going to be a Titan effect, right? So that's what you get for Terracon. Now, let's go and look at Scorponaut. And Fort Max will be the same way. Alright, so when you first look at it, it's going to actually show the same effect. You have to actually activate the Titan, and you can actually see what Scorponaut and Fort Max is going to have. for an effect. So yeah. Alright, so now you see once you actually activate it, it's a different effect. It says your shock towers and EMP defense bolt deal 20% more damage, and your outpost bots and combiners deal 20% more electrical damage. Now, I don't know for sure yet because we hadn't tested it, but I'm gonna go on a limb and say that's probably gonna go up to 30% once we have a 4-star Scorponok and Fort Max. I think that's why Space Ape wanted to try to push the 4-star Scorponok event. But yeah, so that's what we got. We got 2 different things. Lots of flexibility, lots of different changes. I think you adjust the way that you play this based on what Titan you have. And you can actually see when you look at it, you can actually see if you look down here at the space bridge, you can see that it's got the Scorponok colors that go along with it. As you go and actually upgrade a lot of your defenses and resources, it'll change into those Scorponok colors. And that's pretty cool. And Joe Merkel has joined the chat. Thank you for tuning in to the stream today. One of my good friends used to play in the Alliance together, so welcome. And let's see, let me go look at a couple of questions that I got in the chat. So right now, well, first off, let me put my face back on the screen. Let me find it. All right. So Terra of Titano says, who was my favorite Terracon in game and in real life? So let's go take a look at that real quick, man, because I moved the wrong mouse. Let's go take a look at him real quick, because I think most of you who watch my streams for a while, know who my favorite Terracon in game is. If you want to take a guess while I'm looking for it, add it to the chat. Alright, so looking at Terracons, in-game, Hunger, not that great. Ripper Snapper is cool, but he's not like my favorite. Blot is fantastic. I just recently got him as a 5-star. I have big plans for him as a 5-star. Cinder Twin is cool. He's got a cool ability. But let's be honest, guys, and Chris Truden got it. Looking at the chat, man, I love Cutthroat, man. I really do. And it sucks because I think that I might wind up pulling him from my team at some point. I want to see how I can survive without him. Because I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to move Blot. I know I'm going to move Blot into the team. If I do a traditional walk team, so I can go for the hollow walk. But I also think that I'm going to use, I don't know, man. It's a couple of different bots that I'm looking at. I want to get Knockout back into my war team just because of his damage with walls, but I also want to use, actually, I will show you guys the bot that I really, really want to use now is a warrior class bot. I want to use Rodimus Unicronus, man. This dude, and I've got him built up to level 59. This weekend, I'm going to try to push him to 60, get him into the cooker, get him to 61. But I think that he's going to be really, really valuable for the upcoming meta. Now, let me see how much I got in Spark right now, because I know I can spark him up. So I got plenty of Spark. I'm almost at 3 mil. And I want to get him up to ability 11. Well, at least ability 10, and I'll use a skip for ability 11. But man, 30% to all types of damage, including ability damage. Man, I think this is somebody that you need to add to the meta. Or he's already taken over the meta, I feel like. But then you look at, and I'm sure you guys probably noticed, when I'm looking at bots that I can rank, I've already got 7,520 of the Rodimus Unicron shards. Now, for me, I don't like using anything. I don't like to go add anything until I'm ready to use it. So I'm not going to rank him up yet, but trust and believe, I do plan to rank him up. And the thing is, I don't want to burn the Warrior shards. And here's why. So if it takes 15k there, I got 70k. Realistically, I could do what I want to do, but I got a 5-star blot up here, and when I go look at this stuff, man, if block shards come up in the bundle somewhere, I probably could take $20 and go get them to corporal. So yeah, I want to do that, and then later on I'm gonna want to go take them to sergeant. You know, if I decide I want to continue doing sack, Ramjet's still one of my well, shoot, looking at that, Ramjet my best bot. So yeah, I want to go take a look at that, and I want to go get him ranked up as well. I mean, I'm really, really close to being able to carry him to corporal. So I gotta be careful because it depends on who I'm gonna be using at the time. Even though I do think that I'm gonna be using Rod EU quite frequently, regardless of the team. And the thing is what's cool about it is once you go rank up a bot, you get it for every level. If it's the 3-star, he's gonna rank up. If it's the 5-star, he's gonna rank up. It's gonna rank up every single star tier. So yeah, so that's what I'm looking at. And it looks like Stay Puffed has joined the chat. Thank you for joining, buddy. And Joe Merkel had a question. He says, are they going to upgrade Overlord? So there's been some conversation about that with Space 8. I don't think it's going to be in the immediate plans, but I don't want to call it out of the conversation yet. That's just me talking based off of how they kind of spoke about it. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I think the goal right now is to try to make the combiners a little bit better for 4-stars, because one of the big complaints has been, well, I only have a 4-star and I'm trying to complete in like Prime League hard mode, and they say, and Ionis is always like, yeah, you can use your 4-stars. It's like you should use them. And for me personally, I use them in like base 1, base 2, base 3, 4, and 5. If I want a 300, I'm gonna use Overlord. You know, Autobots, you're gonna use Omega Supreme. But yeah. So let's see. Alpha Trion 1 says that the shards are impossible for free-to-play players. And honestly, man, this has been a huge point of concern for most of us. When you go look at what we were looking at in the newsletter, I think it is a lot. Now, if you're one of those players that's been hoarding everything, you probably got some good looks at some bots to upgrade, you know. But at the end of the day, if you're a free-to-play player, if you're a lower level player, you're a mid-tier player, you still have team needs, and it's hard to ignore those team needs to try to go chase something new and shiny. So I agree with you, Alpha Trion 1. I think they're too expensive. Like, I understand what they're trying to do, but at the end of the day, Space Ape did say, I think it was Ionis that said, man, we're trying to go make this for as something for top players, unfortunately. So it's more geared toward the guys in Prime League hard mode. But in their last stream, Space Ape did say that there's going to be another way for us to get the character shards. All right, so just looking around at some of my bots, I got Impactor. I use Impactor so much. He's my primary power leveler, and I got him all the way to 67 already without having to do anything. You know, sound wave is close. Like I already showed you guys, Ramjet. Blast off is close. So my war bots are pretty close. Nemesis, he's new for me, so I gotta get him, keep building him. You know, but I got some good ones in there. Brawl, one of my war bots. Surprisingly, he's only at 65, coming up on 66. But yeah, man. So that's what I'm looking at. Let's see what else. Oh, that's one thing I didn't talk about. I'm gonna go to my test server real quick. Let me go into the lab and find my test account. One thing that I did not mention is this. So if you saw my video about the new power cores that was coming out, there's one power core that I spoke about in that video that did not get released today, and that power core is the fireproof dome. And so what happened is, maybe about a week ago, Fabian jumped into the chat for the play testers, and he said, you know, we're gonna get rid of that. And one of the reasons why they got rid of that is because there is a lot of anti-fire stuff in this game, man. It started off with, you know, war effects. They had anti-fire war effects that would reduce fire. And then you looked in and you saw, and I've talked about this on my streams before, but then you go and you see this guy. You get fire resistance as a passive effect for the Titan. Okay. So then you look in there and you have, let me jump out for a second out of the game screen. But then you see Sasha abilities. So then you look in there and they were trying to add a fireproof dome, and then you look into the actual tech tree, and I'll go into it real quick. You go into the tech tree, and they have fire and acid damage resistance. Now, let me go take a look at something on the live server real quick, because from as I understand it, fire and acid resistance in the tech tree might actually end up going away. So let's take a look at the live server, see what that looks like. And actually, before I forget, let me change my Titan back, because I kind of need that for wars. And while I'm looking at that, Stay Puff says 4-star boss, and slash Mac the boss at 20 is Prime League hard mode viable. So he says he uses them in trap wars versus top 5, no problem. And then he just bought them to 25. So yeah, that's good, man. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Those are the kind of things that we need to kind of see. Because like I said, I'm still building up my Tripredicus, which is your equivalent. And I can't wait. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, and I'm going to use the heck out of them in Top Wars. Guarantee it. Yeah, so there's some discussion about fire stuff. Right now, fire and acid damage is still there. There's some discussion about possibly taking it out. So we'll see how that goes. And it's actually interesting because my last video that I made, like not live stream, but the actual video that I was making trying to persuade the 5-star vote, I actually posted it in Facebook and a lot of Facebook groups, and I had one player just kind of just say, well, I'm not rooting for Acid Storm because I think that, that was my pick. And that's actually one of my most popular videos of all time. But it just, he was just like, well, they're making power cores to try to get rid of fire damage and acid damage, and that just doesn't seem like a smart move. I was like, dude, they've been attacking fire damage and acid damage this whole time. But if they're trying to get you to combo, and you can use both in a combo pretty easily, then yeah, that's one of the things I want to look at. And so when I look at bots that I have, and I got Brawl, and I got them at this kind of level, and I've got them with this G1 core, and I did the endurance event for Knockout, and Knockout is going to stop healing, and which we got a lot of healing for the MDS. We already covered that. And I start looking around, and I say, hey, I can combo these bots together. So the first time I can do 5. I could do 5, and then I could do with Brawl. I could do 6. So that could be 11. Take out a nice huge chunk, set up some good pathing, and probably get a lot of my points back, depending on the base layout. And I say, yeah, you know what? I am interested in that. Chris Truden says the acid damage is the icing on his heal blocking. Yeah, it really is. It's like I like the damage. When I look at some of the acid bots, I look at Knockout. Let's go back to Knockout. And when I look at him, and I say, man, this dude's pretty amazing. So I already got him at level 10. I'm using my skip from this cyber pass to carry him to 11. And he's only at level 61 right now, so that acid damage is going to go up. And so it's got a 1.5 multiplier right now that turns into a 3-time multiplier to walls, minions, and outpost bots. Man, sign me up, especially as the outpost bots are going to become stronger. That Professional Husky says that they might invest in the 4-star Viper. Yeah, yeah, it might not be too bad. I have to go give it more testing though. I will say that I got to go give a lot of these acid bots more testing. They've been left to rot for several years now, and I want to see a lot of it for myself, to be honest. So, but yeah, just yeah, I like most of what's going on with HQ18, to be honest. And I didn't think I would. I thought that was going on. I just saw a lot of work. I was talking to some of my old Alliance mates earlier, and they were just talking about like how much work it was going to be for the Z Energon, and it turns out a lot of people just don't farm Z Energon that well, if I'm being honest. I was like, I try to solo as many bases as I can. I might burn through some ore using combiners, but that's part of my process to making sure that I'm always real high on Z Energon. And so I think that I don't think I've really done anything talking about Z farming. I know Deception over Scorched Earth, he's done like Z Energon farming like a boss series. So if you guys ever get a chance to check it out, that's really good. But maybe I have to start doing some of my Z farming on one of my streams or a video or something like that, because I don't think everybody's doing it efficiently. But yeah. But alright guys, I'm gonna call it a night. Thanks for joining me on an off night. I did really enjoy my son's basketball game last night. That's why I didn't stream on Wednesday. While it's his basketball season, some of his games are on Wednesdays. I'll try to get you guys and let you guys know ahead of time what days I'm not going to be on streaming, but this is going to be my backup time, so I'll definitely keep you guys in the know about that. But yeah, man, so next week is going to be a pretty good milestone for me, man. Next week is going to be the 1 year anniversary of the Freeziest Max YouTube show. So for all of you guys, a lot of you guys been supporting me since day one. So I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but I want to do something special next week because, like I said, next week is gonna be the 1 year anniversary. I made like a really terrible video just sitting here one night on Christmas Eve, and I was just like, and I just kept working on it until we got where we are right now. So um, definitely want to do something to celebrate that next week. But all right, guys, I'm gonna take off. I'm probably gonna just make some other videos just breaking down the HQ18 stuff. So if you got any questions, reach out to me on Discord, or for you those of you who have my Line app, reach out to me through that. And if you got additional questions for anything you want to see content wise, I'll go ahead and make it work. But Chris Truden says giveaway. You know what? If I can make official content creator and I can get giveaway codes, I'll do giveaways left and right. But until then, and I think I'm close. I don't know if any of you guys caught it, but at the end of Sunstreaker Waz's interview with Dale, Dale said, "Hey, Freeziest is coming up. We want to see if we can try to get him onto the." He didn't use the word official, but he said he wanted to see if we can get him on with the official guys. So we'll see how it goes, and then I start giving giveaways left and right. So, but all right, guys, thanks for joining. As always, I really appreciate you guys just coming spending some time with me, hanging out, talking about the game. And I will see you next week, and I will see you on the battlefield. Freeziest out.